On to our next story now. The new United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, has expressed disappointment over the world body's failure to prevent wars and conflicts around the globe.
The United Nations was established to prevent war by binding us in a rules-based international order. Today, that order is under grave threat. Causes of crisis are deeply interlinked. The UN's response remains fragmented.
Guterres was making his first address to the 15-member Security Council since taking office on January the 1st. He said a whole new approach was needed to prevent wars. While pledging to strengthen the world body's mediation capacity, the UN chief urged the Security Council to do more to prevent conflicts instead of just responding to them. The remarks came as the Council remains largely deadlocked over several crisis-hit countries such as Syria, South Sudan, and Burundi. Guterres, who is the former Prime Minister of Portugal and former UN refugee chief, said too many opportunities to prevent conflicts had been lost due to mistrust among states. Political commentator Max Igan joins us now from Brisbane. Sir, welcome to the program. The new United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, was trying to make a good first impression at the United Nations Security Council. What do you make of his comments?
Look, I think more does need to be done to prevent war, but I don't think people are looking deep enough at what is actually causing these conflicts, especially when we look at the crises that are happening around the Middle East. You look at the conflicts in the Middle East, such as what happened in Egypt, then it moved over to Libya and then into Syria. These conflicts are really being infiltrated, and you've got foreign factions infiltrating these countries and causing these conflicts. All of these conflicts have started from what have been termed popular uprisings, but really there's foreign factions that have gone in there and they've infiltrated the people and they've created these revolutions, if you will, and then they attack themselves and they blame it on the government, and then the West has to come in and save them. All of these wars have been contrived. A lot of these wars are about resource management. It's about controlling resources and funneling resources to places where those who start the wars want them to be. You know, a lot of these wars are completely unnecessary, and the United Nations needs to really look a little bit deeper at this and see where these wars are actually coming from. You know, the war in Syria, this is all private mercenaries that are funded by the West and funded by foreign factions all over the place. So they're not really looking deep enough, I don't think. I mean, the United Nations Security Council could work if it's prepared to really look at the situation, remove political correctness from the way it looks at it, and really deal with the root core of the problem. It's just not doing that, unfortunately. But it is good that he said this to start with anyway.
And you mentioned that the United Nations has to look at what is causing these wars. Even going a layer deeper and delving deeper into the issue is who is actually benefiting from these wars. Maybe looking at it that perspective would also be a good take on how to prevent and stop many of the conflicts that are ongoing in the world today.
Exactly, follow the money. There's been some amazing research that's come out, a lot of stuff that's been revealed actually from the Clinton emails that have come out. I don't know how many people have been looking at that, but the ties that you see to people who are actually involved in military, involved in NATO, involved in oil production, involved in major sorts of things that are affecting the world economically and politically and militarily, are all involved in companies that are making parts that are funding these wars. So a lot of the people that are speaking out against these wars and speaking out against these countries are actually making enormous profits from keeping these wars going. And when you look at what is starting these wars, like I said, the war in Libya, which was presented to the world as a popular uprising and turned into the brutal assassination of Gaddafi and basically a failed state, and then moved into Syria, this was actually started by what was essentially private contractors. It wasn't really any government that went in there and undermined it. It was what was seen to the world and promoted to the world as being a popular revolution, but really it was foreign factions that had gone in there and simply created disturbances and created instability in order for the West to present it to the world the way they have and to go in there and basically harvest the resources of these countries. You've got to look at what's going on here. This is a business. These wars are being run as a business, and it's very, very important people look at that and see who the underlying players are and follow the money, because that is where the culprits are going to be found.
Thank you, sir. Political commentator Max Igan joining us from Brisbane. And